Back for another episode of the Walk on Red Shirts. If you're new here, we have my friend William here. I am Jake. We are going to do our off-season recap. We are getting so close. So we're well under 100 days. I think we're under 90 days now.
I think we are at 99 days.
No, I'm pretty sure I saw somebody today with 87 posts. Maybe it's 99 till Clemson's first game, but I think it's 87 till the first college football game.
That's depending on the time zone you're in. 85 days.
85. Is that Brazilian time or is that American time?
It's not in Brazil anymore. They moved it on campus. Great move.
What a shame that we don't have a game in Brazil. Shockingly, that maybe wasn't the best idea.
Yeah.
I'll put this out there. I'm just gonna say this. I have no idea. I'm already big hater on neutral site games unless there is like a historical reason. Army Navy, the Red River Rivalry shootout, whatever they call it these days. World's largest outdoor cocktail party. Like those neutral site games, by all means, yeah, they have a history, they have a tradition there. That's fine. I'm not hating on those games. I'm hating on when they take like Clemson and Georgia and be like, where we should play this game? Atlanta.
30 minutes down the road.
Well, what do we do? What do we play this game in Charlotte? Like,
yeah,
no, like let's stop with these ones. Virginia Tech and Vandy playing, in the Titan Stadium. Now, I also think that might have to do with the fact that Vandy Stadium was getting renovated, but that's a different point.
No, that doesn't push our narrative.
That doesn't help our narrative. Does not help the narrative here. I am just not a fan of these like weird neutral site games of like, hey, let's make both teams travel instead of like, let's play the game on campus. Let's see the real student section. Let's cram as many people into a tiny stadium that really doesn't need to be that you should probably have a little more breathing room. No, I want 90,000 people in a stadium that should really be 60,000. I want the student section out there drinking all day long because they can't afford to drive 2 hours to go somewhere else.
That's you shouldn't drive while you're drinking. That's why too.
Exactly. Not at the same time. So putting a game, like I really hate the fact that the TCU and North Carolina are playing Ireland. That to me, nothing says Irish like the Tar Heels and the Horned Frogs.
Well, Belichick is very Irish.
You think his girlfriend is too?
Oh, maybe that's it.
Maybe that's why they ended up in Ireland.
She ended up at a pot of gold during her dating process.
She did find a pot of gold. She did find a pot of gold. All right, so this episode, we're going to do a full spring recap. Honestly, there's just not enough news throughout the spring to really fill full episodes. That's why we went through different positions, went through what ifs, all sorts of different things. So we're going to jump through and go through all the storylines in the spring, really the main talking points before. And then the next couple weeks, we're going to start jumping into the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, Big 12, lead us right into the college football season. It will be here before we know it. William, I think there's one big story that we got to start with. One absolutely massive story we got to start with.
What could that be?
Is this the worst college football cover for an NCAA game of all time?
I think it is. And some of the memes that are coming out about it. I thought I had a good one when I said this looks like one of those Got Milk commercials. But there's been some great ones. I know you saw the Dude, Where's My Car?
They put Curse Signetti. I'll send it to you. But I just found it again. It says, Dude, Where's My Heisman? And it's got all of the people behind. And the tweet on it says, this looks like an early 2000s comedy film. Yes, it 100% does.
Yeah. 1,
Dude, Where's My Car? Dude, Where's My Heisman?
That's the special. Do you think they change it?
No, I think it's too late now. I think it's too late.
I think like the normal version's okay. The one with Malachi Tony, Juan Lacey, and
I don't remember.
Who's the other person?
It's not Dante Moore, is it?
It's Dante Moore. Nice.
But this one with Kurt Signetti on the cover just absolutely screams like the early 2000s comedy movies, the crappy comedies that everybody watched.
Honey, I Shrunk the Natty.
Yeah. It's the cover is not great. Like, luckily, we're not relying on the cover for it to be a good game. I just watched the promo for it, and I saw a bunch of the information that came out about it. One of the interesting things, I'll be curious to see how this works, is the weather can change throughout the game.
Yeah.
So, if it's kind of nice at the start, you might get rain in the middle. Might be the second quarter and it starts raining on you.
And they said it is depending on regions. Like if you play as Oregon, you're probably going to get rain every single home game. If you play as Washington, you're probably going to get rain every single home game. If you play as Ohio State, you're probably going to get a gray day every single day.
You went to a game and it was beautiful and sunny.
That's because I was there.
Yeah. You play an Ohio State Michigan game, there's a decent chance there'll be snow on the ground for it. It may start maybe like this past year's where hey, it's fine, and then you get some snow throughout.
What I want is the adaptive fans. So the first quarter of a night game, they're belligerent, drunk, like you can't really understand the chants and everything, and then they kind of start to sober up, and then towards halftime it gets worse, and then towards the fourth quarter it's insane. And you see maybe some paramedics take some people out of the stands. That's a real environment adaptation.
Do you think they'll put pepper spray in it if somebody plants a flag?
They should. You should lose NIL money if you plant a flag, or if you do horns down. Do not do horns down. This right here, jail.
I feel like you should be allowed to do horns down. You should 100% be allowed to do horns down.
Jail. You know who's not going to be doing horns down this year? Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah, Brendan Sorsby. So you never know. He might be doing Brendan Sorsby because he's been betting against Texas the whole season.
What are the odds that Brendan Sorsby gets to play this year?
What are the odds? He has probably taken himself to play.
This is how we determine if he can play or not. The NCAA should go in the FanDuel or whoever he was using and have them put out odds on whether Brendan Sorsby will play or not. And don't open it up to the public. Only open it up to his account. If he bets on it, he's not. Done. He can't play. He's done.
Brendan Sorsby bets on himself to play. What if he bets on himself not to play?
Is that what people mean when they say I bet on myself?
He took the term too literally. Too literally. Look, so he had his court case for his injunction this past week, and I don't know anything about the law, so I'm not going to even pretend to say that.
Apparently, our NCAA doesn't either.
Yeah, I mean, they just get railroaded in the courtroom constantly. But I have the opinion of the amount of times that he bet on his own team, which it came out that is 40 times on Indiana, not like once or twice. Look,
was he even there for 40 games?
I don't think he was.
He was there for one season.
He might have been there two. He might have been
bonding with the boys, though. Why are we hating on him? He's bonding with the boys, Jake.
I would love to see a transaction list of everything he bet on. I want to know, was it spreads? Was it money line? Was he betting on like team props?
I saw somewhere he bet $90,000 like worth of bets.
Yeah, it was 90. Absurd. It was almost $100,000 worth of bets. And look, I'm of the opinion for the amount that he bet, like if it had been on baseball, if it had been on basketball, like whatever, it's fine. Like I could have looked past that. The fact that you bet on your own team this many times, like I'm not getting past that. I don't care if you are betting on yourself to win. The reason I put this out earlier when this all came out, let's say your starting quarterback gets hurt on Saturday. You come in Sunday, everybody, he leaves the game, but he's going to play next week. I'm sure you've been in a locker room. You have an idea if a guy's going to play that weekend or not.
Yeah. You have a very, 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 very good understanding of who's playing and who's not.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a great understanding of who's playing or not. But to the public, we don't know if he's playing yet. And coach speak, they're not going to announce if he's playing because you want the competitive advantage.
Yeah, and if you want to see coach speak, look at a Dabo press conference when he has to release his injury report, and everyone who could be hurt, they could be dead. They could have a heartbeat of 1, and he's going to list them as questionable.
Yeah. There's coach speak constantly.
Upper body injury.
You're not going to tease it until you're not going to give it away until you have to. And you're not going to say it until you have to. But if Brendan Sorsby were to go bet on his team to win on Sunday because he knows his quarterback's going to play, and then Thursday or Friday it comes out that, hey, he's going to play, those odds are going to shift because all of a sudden, hey, Indiana's going to have a better chance to win with their starting quarterback in. I'm not saying this happened exactly, but that's why you can't allow this stuff to happen because now you're having guys with insider information betting. It's the same as insider trading.
I don't even understand why there's people in his camp who think he has a chance to be able to play. Like who is convincing him to keep going to these lawyers?
I think he is. I think he's trying to go through every option because he's trying to expedite it also before the supplemental draft. Like he wants an answer by the 15th because the supplemental draft deadline is the 22nd. So I think he knows.
Whoever's in his camp should have said, "Go ahead and enter your name in the supplemental draft. You have no shot."
Yeah.
Once the evidence is shown, like the evidence is so damning, there's no shot.
Yeah, I think I'll be curious to see what happens with supplemental draft. I think for him, his mind is if I can find a way to get back in, I'll be able to boost my draft stock. It's not going to be very high right now. And if I have to go to the supplemental draft, also everybody who's already drafted already has a quarterback. So where are you going to go that somebody's going to be in need of a quarterback? Like it's a little bit different with other positions. Like you think a wide receiver, you think an offensive lineman, you think a running back. Like you can play multiple of those guys. Like a quarterback. Guys that already have, 2, 3, 4 on their roster heading into the fall camp. And now all of a sudden somebody's got to sacrifice a draft pick to put you in their camp.
You know who needs a quarterback?
Carolina Panthers.
No, the Cleveland Browns. They need another quarterback to go with Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson.
Dylan Gabriel, who got his number just stolen away.
The worst. The funniest part about that was like I was going to try and have him pay me for it, but I just showed up to practice and he had it.
I saw that, and I was Dylan, like, "Wow, this man just snatched your chain right in front of your face."
Dylan Gabriel, welcome to being a walk-on, buddy. We've all been there. One of my really good friends, one of my best friends, was number 75, and Clemson got Mitch Hyatt. You know who was no longer 75 after that day?
Him.
My buddy Mitch Hyatt, the 5-star offensive lineman. Newsflash: he got number 75. That is what he wanted.
Yeah. As long as you're not stealing it from a senior captain, you're gonna get your number.
Yeah, he said, "Why is my number 65 now?" He goes, "Yes, his number is 75. You got a different number, buddy."
If you want to be 75, you can go to defense. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think Brendan Sorsby is going to play this year. I'd be utterly shocked if Brendan Sorsby takes a snap for Texas Tech this fall.
Well, he's probably putting bets on the CFP expansion because I don't know that's going to happen.
Dude, I don't know what the best number is for a CFP expansion. And the Big Ten and SEC and like I mean, personally, I would stick at 12. You can maybe convince me of 16 for the sole reason that the teams with buys keep losing 2 years in, and everyone keeps losing except Indiana. I think it's 1-7.
Yeah,
the teams with a buy.
They should get better.
And the teams with buys are just getting absolutely destroyed. It's almost better to not have a buy right now.
I think you should go ahead and watch the first 12 year, because they put the top 4 conference champions in there, and that's not the top 4 teams. I think that's a little skewed because you had Arizona State, you had Boise State, you had who were the other 2?
It was Texas.
Oregon and
no, Texas was 5 seed. Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. So all those teams lost, and then the next year it was the
Georgia
top 4.
I'll also give you Georgia. That was the year Carson Beck tore.
Yeah, he was dead.
His elbow's gone. They put Gunnar Stockton out there. Like, I'll give you that one. The first year, Oregon was the only one that really. They also ran into a buzzsaw with Ohio State that year, no, I wouldn't call them a buzzsaw because they don't have a generational wide receiver. They don't, according to some guy on Twitter. But the other 4, I think there's excuses to be made for them. Gunnar Stockton making his first start against a Notre Dame defense that was very, very good. Boise State, who was not the 3 seed or the third best team, and Arizona State, who should not have been the 4 seed, wasn't even a top 12 team, I don't believe. They just were the 4th conference champion because Clemson was behind them at like 14.
Which was wild. Anyway, that year was
the seeding that we fixed that seeding real quick because we all thought originally the seeding though was supposed to be if there's a Pac-12 team, then hey, you'll get all those conference champions in, and then we consolidated, and then chaos happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could convince me of 16, but I think we need to stay at 12 a little bit longer, honestly.
12 is 16 is my maximum. 12 is the sweet spot. I honestly have enjoyed the 12-team playoff. I really have. And I like, to be fair, I've been a proponent of the 12-team playoff even when we had 4. I think I've always been a fan of that. You can go back and check. I never was anti-12. I'm not anti-16. I'm just not anti. I am anti-expansion though, because if you go to 16, you know they're just going to go again. I mean, look at college basketball. They're going from 64 to 74, I believe it is. It should be 72.
70,
I think they're going to.
I thought it was 78 or something like that.
It might be 78, but like they just come up with they just keep adding people on, and the college basketball tournament at 64 is phenomenal. It's chef's kiss. There's no reason to add it.
Technically
12,
68, but all those playing games. But yeah, those playing games are fine because it's all the bubble teams or the teams that were 16 seeds that went 20 and 24 and whatever 22
long story
and 20.
short, good.
I don't know. I'm just rambling.
But the thing I hate about the expansion is the expectation, or not the expectation, but the ask that the SEC gets automatically 3. The Big 10 gets automatically 3, because you're basing all these deals off of right now, and who knows? Anything can change. If Indiana can become a national championship team and a national championship contender year in and year out, who's to say Oklahoma State and Baylor and TCU don't become powerhouses overnight?
Well, I think Texas Tech is a perfect example, because even though they may not have, their quarterback this year, Will Hammond is going to be fine. And Texas Tech is absolutely loading up in NIL dollars.
But you're only going to give the Big 12 2 automatic bids. But what if in 5 years? What if in 5 years the Big 12 is the cream of the crop of all of NCAA?
I mean, I have a hard time believing it, but anything's possible.
Well, I would have said the same thing had Vanderbilt not been a top 15 team last year, and not Indiana had not won the national championship.
That's a fair point. I would not have thought that Texas Tech 3 years ago would have been in the playoff, and here they were.
It's crazy how fast things can change. Yeah.
And so if we go back and look at last year, the problem that I have with it is that then we're nitpicking between programs that really are we really worthy of these teams? So you had the same top, whatever it was, top 12 realistically, with the exception that you would drop James Madison, Tulane would be the only one in, and Duke would have been in instead of Tulane or James Madison. Duke would have been in instead of James Madison. And then your next 5 teams would have been Notre Dame, BYU, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, and Vanderbilt, I think. Or am I missing one?
Yeah.
No, I think we would have stopped at Utah technically.
Yeah.
Because
James Madison would have been, or Tulane.
Tulane and Duke would have been 15 and 16. And my bad. No, this is looking at final rankings. I need to go look.
So you would have stopped at Vanderbilt, because if Duke gets in, if Duke and Tulane get in,
I got it now. So you're 11 and 12 seed were Tulane and James Madison. Your top 10 teams all made it. Your 11 seed would have been Notre Dame. Your 12 seed would have been BYU. Your 13 would have been Texas. Your 14 would have been Vanderbilt. And then your 15 would have been Tulane, and your 16 would have been Duke. And instead, we would be having an argument, Vanderbilt versus Utah. And that is not an argument worth having to me, because those teams were 14 and 15. Yes, they both had 2 losses. Texas would have been in with 3 losses. Or we would have been saying Vanderbilt, Utah, USC, or Arizona. Which of those teams should have been in? To me, I don't think any of them deserve to be in.
Right. The argument's always going to happen. When there was 4, the argument was always for 5 and 6. When there was 2, the argument was always for 3 and 4. When it was 12,
when you had those arguments, and you're arguing between 5 and 6 with number 4, there's legitimate discussions. I mean, we saw Florida State get left out at 13-0 because they lost Jordan Travis, and they finished number 5. Now, granted, they got whopped by Georgia, but granted, all of the Florida State players opted out of that bowl game, because why would they want to play that? They felt disrespected.
Yeah.
But also, I think there was a legitimate argument for who the 5th and 6th best teams are in the country, and they could compete with 1 through 4. There was legitimate ones. I'm looking at Utah here and saying, can Utah go out there and compete with Oregon and Georgia when Texas Tech got absolutely smoked by Oregon?
Yeah.
So, to me, I know the first year you had the 8 seed win it all. Okay, great. But they weren't really the 8 seed, if we're being honest. Ohio State was more like the 5th or 6th seed because of how the seeding worked. Then the second year, you had
the number 1
Miami. Yeah, you had Miami go the whole way. Okay. that was a good team. That was your Cinderella run, if you're going to look at it that way. But that's not going to happen every year. And Miami was obviously a very talented program. When you look at a Vanderbilt, okay, you're relying on Diego Pavia to do it. Texas, maybe they make a run. Maybe they just don't, honestly. I think there was a very real chance that Texas just doesn't make a game. They lost to Florida in a pretty embarrassing fashion last year. Saying that they would have made a run is a very hyperbolic statement.
Yeah, it's foolish. And I mean,
they lost by 25 to Georgia last year.
Even if we did straight up the top 16, so Southern Cal's at 16, Utah's at 15, Vanderbilt at 14. Southern Cal's not beating anybody in that playoff. Southern Cal would have to play Oregon in the first round. Utah would play Ole Miss. Vanderbilt would have played Texas A&M. I mean, there might have been some decent games. There might have been some upsets. I don't know. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that an upset can't happen. What I'm also not going to say, I'm not going to say that a team that has earned it on the football field shouldn't get in. I'm not going to say an upset can't happen. I'm just saying, like, we don't need to keep expanding it and then have the freaking season end in March.
I agree.
The fact that it's ending in January 25th is absurd. Absolutely, that's conference championship weekend for the freaking NFL.
I agree. I think at this point, you have to find a way to start the season earlier if you're going to do this. And the problem is,
or don't have 11 days between games.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's 14 days between some of these games because of how we've got to play it on New Year's. And I understand New Year's is important to college football. It's kind of like it was always like the mecca. It was when all the bowl games were. New Year's Day is when college football typically owned it. But if New Year's does not fall on the right day of the week, we don't have to continue to push it to any day. Like this year, New Year's falls on a Friday. Why can we not play, that following week? If we play on the 31st and the 1st, why can we not play on the 7th and 8th? Why are we wait until the 14th and 15th to play again? Are we saying it's because travel time, schedule, we've got to do all these events? There's plenty of teams that will go from Saturday to Friday in the regular season. Yeah. The MAC plays on Wednesdays. Now, granted, they usually get a week between, but still, the MAC plays on random days of the week. We don't need
the MAC's built different. We can't compare anybody to the MAC. Or conference.
I don't understand. We are going from the 1st to the 14th and the 31st and the 1st to the 14th and 15th to the 25th. That is so long. So long.
It's dumb. It's dumb. But I'll watch it. I'll be there.
I mean, I will too. Absolutely, I'll watch it. I'm 100% going to watch it, and nothing's going to stop me from watching it. But in my opinion, I would keep it at 12. Worst case, you go to 16. I have absolutely no interest in going to 24. You realize if we went to 24, we'd be sitting here arguing about teams. Let me see who the others receiving votes were. The others receiving votes in week 16, we would be talking about the discussion between Georgia Tech, 8-4 Missouri, who didn't even have their quarterback for half the year, Houston, Iowa, Tennessee, and New Mexico got votes. I didn't realize New Mexico was that good last year. Or we'd be talking about teams like Navy. Like, there's no reason for 24 teams to make the college football playoff. Absolutely not. All right. Next topic here. This is kind of heading with that. Do you think a Super League is happening?
It seems like it. The thing is like, so listen to what Notre Dame's AD says. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. He's getting up there and trying to talk about how money is running college football and how TV deals are where all the money is and how the best thing for the TV deal would not be to have a Super League. But then he starts talking about a hypothetical Super League schedule. But if for someone who doesn't want a Super League, sure has put a lot of thought into a Super League. And what's even crazier is the AD for Notre Dame used to be the president of freaking NBC. Like the Super League, I think would be horrible. You essentially would have the minor league for the NFL, and fandom would be completely different. You would still have your diehards. It would still be, but like, what's going to happen is if you take your league from 136 to 24, 30, whatever they want to do. You now have the NFL. So now when you have your 30th team who's whatever, let's call it Texas Tech. Texas Tech goes and has a bad year. A bad year isn't 7-5 anymore. A bad year is 0-12. And it's going to completely change the enjoyment of college football, the pageantry of college football. You're eliminating so much access, so many cool different things that comes with college football. I hate it. I think it's stupid. I don't understand. And the people that are pushing it the most, and I don't know if the Big Ten is too, but it seems like the people that are pushing it the most are all in the SEC. Why?
Well, Greg Sankey talked about breaking away, and I'm like, oh, so you're just gonna play yourself and crown your conference champion, the national champion, but it's not even gonna be a national because you're only playing in a region. I think that is a fake threat because imagine breaking away in all sports, but
well, that's the thing too. It would kill all the other sports. There's no
saying we're going to break our
sports.
We're going to break our football program away. Like people are going to be like, well, I don't want to play you. Like if you're going to screw me in all my other sports, why would if you're going to screw me in football, why would I play you in any of my other sports?
College baseball, softball, gymnastics, gone. Swimming, gone. Wrestling, gone. Track and field, gone. All those things would be completely gone. You would have basketball and you would have football. Period.
And baseball is huge in the SEC country.
It is. It really is. But like at the end of the day, the two people who always get punished when the SEC and when the NCAA and all these people start yapping about what they're going to do, there's two people who always get punished. The players and the fans. We don't care about the players, obviously, because we want to create the Super League just for football that was going to eliminate all these other kids' opportunities to go to school for free.
We don't care about the players because we're going to make a 24-team playoff and still play 12 regular season games. So that way the champion has to possibly play like 18 or 19 games, throughout the year.
And we don't care about the fan because
we don't care about the players because we're going to send them to Brazil for a football game before the season starts.
Let's send the game over to Dublin, Ireland, so they can watch the football game. And all these fans who love the game don't get to go watch UNC play TCU. They don't. The very first game in the Bill Belichick era wasn't even in freaking America.
Yeah, it was. Last year they played it.
Oh, you're right.
They played in North Carolina on Labor Day night, but TCU doesn't get North Carolina to return. TCU now for their home game has to go the whole way to Ireland
to Aer Lingus.
And it's not even like it's not even like Boston College where it's a closer flight.
Was there a big influence? Notre Dame, big influence. Notre Dame, and then when they do send Notre Dame over there, they have them play Navy. Why don't like
weird?
Whatever. Like the NCAA.
Notre Dame Boston College would be a perfect game if you want to send it over there.
Absolutely. Or you know what? You know how to save the Notre Dame USC rivalry? Send it over there.
Goodness, that's such a long flight for USC.
People would buy it. Hey, you know what? It would also have some historical relevance to it too, because the Romans refused to invade Ireland because they were afraid of it. So now you have your Trojans. Oh, that's Romans, not Trojans. Well, I tried. I was there. I was so close.
Let's just play it in Rome. Why not? Play it in Rome. I really don't want a Super League. I really don't. If anything, I would rather the Pac-12 go back to the way it was. I'd send some of these teams back to the conferences they were. Put Oklahoma and Texas back in the Big 12. Put Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA back in the Pac-12. Send everybody back. Colorado can take the Big 12. They've bounced around between the Big 12 and the Pac-12, so they can pick whichever one they want to go to. Honestly, Nebraska back to the Big 12. Give me some old school Nebraska back in there. Rutgers down to the FCS. I don't think anybody needs them.
Piscataway can go to the FCS.
The birthplace of college football should, go join the Ivy League. Try. Well, I don't know if you got the academic standards, but just play those programs.
They're smarter than Rutgers.
We could talk about the NIL guidelines. I'll be honest, I have not read anything about this because I'm avoiding reading anything about the Congress and Nick Saban and talking all about that. I know there is a movement for it. I don't
let me summarize
everything about it.
Can I summarize it?
Go for it.
People are mad because Nick Saban's saying it, but everything Nick Saban is saying is absolutely true. So no guidelines have been proposed. But what has been discussed is that there are no guidelines and that there needs to be guidelines. And his point was we went from paying players 2.7 million, like having a $2.7 million roster to a $40 million roster in 3 years. So how much higher does it need to go until we put a stop to it? And it doesn't need to be a stop. He's not saying don't pay the players by no means. He's saying there needs to be a salary cap, so to speak, so that everybody's on the even playing field, so we don't have some catastrophic things going on. And then also, when people keep investing their money into things and they don't get their returns that they want, they're going to start wanting it back. So now who gets punished again? The players. So put guidelines in to protect these people. That's all he wants. Now everybody's mad because it's Nick Saban saying those things. And you can say what you want about Nick Saban and his recruiting ability, wink, wink, but that's all it is. The face of the person speaking is the one that's not liked. The content of what he's saying is 100% true.
I mean, I've thought from the beginning that there should have been guardrails, and I don't think there's ever been any sense of guardrails. I know that they have this, program that you just put all your NIL deals through. I know some have been declined, but like, how rigorous is it? And also, who is determining the value of an athlete? Because Arch Manning, for instance, even if he never wins a Heisman, even if he doesn't, he's probably going to be a first-round pick, but even if he doesn't go and throw for 4,500 yards this year, he is worth significantly more in an NIL market than Aaron Philo.
Yeah.
Aaron Philo may have a better season than Arch Manning, but Arch Manning's is a significantly more marketable athlete.
Yeah, look at his last name. Look where he's playing.
Exactly. So I guess who's determining this market value for these things? And I 100% agree on guardrails. And I think a salary cap is going to be hard to enforce. The one thing I've always thought is, okay, we're just going to go back to, money in McDonald's bags. But I think the dollar amounts have gotten too big at that point where we're not talking about giving somebody $5,000 in a McDonald's bag and $100 bills. We're now in like the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars for players, where I think you'll still have people trying to get around it. I mean, the NBA had the issue. Kawhi Leonard was, took less money supposedly, and then was getting money on the side
from an allegedly. Was he the one that had the fake business, or that's someone else?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was some sort of fake business. I mean, it's happened in other sports before, but I think when you're talking about that much money, like, I think pretty sure it happened to our Braves. There was when there was a bunch of prospects that got signed, they told them to take less money, and then they gave them more money on the side. When they got caught, they made them release the MLB made them release all the players.
Oh, no, not my Braves.
That was like 10 years ago. But
not my Braves.
So I think that you just need to have something. I mean, you've got to have a collective bargaining agreement, basically. You got to basically have a CBA, somebody to represent the players, and basically also agree to these terms. Like, hey, if you guys do this, like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to lose eligibility. You're going to get fined. You're going to be released from your scholarship. You're not going to be eligible, suspension. Like, you're going to deal with these things. If you break these rules, this is what's going to happen. And I think that's really where it is at this point. Like, you need some sort of collective bargaining, because if not, you're going to have each league trying to create their own rules on this.
Yeah. So, and talk about loopholes. There's two types of loopholes in college football. There's Pete Golding's loophole, and his loophole is, well, someone else did it to me, so that's why I did it. And then the other loophole is, well, I'm actually transferring for track and field, not for football. But I might just happen to play football when I get there.
This is an incredibly intriguing argument, because the guy actually is a track athlete. I'll give him that. But the amount of
why is he transferring?
Because he's not going to play quarterback, because he was forced to switch to wide receiver after Nico Imaliava went to UCLA, and then he found out Nico's brother was going to be the backup quarterback, so he was going to lose time. Like, he wasn't going to be able to play, basically. So
my point is, reason for transfer in track and field can't be, I'm not going to start at quarterback.
Yeah. Although the kid, his name is Carson Gordon, committed to Austin P. So that is, we'll see what happens with that. But he committed to an FCS program. Now, granted, I don't know what the talent level for was this kid. Pulling up his 24/7 profile, he was a 3-star athlete, 1,082nd best player in the country in the class of 2024. So didn't play, wasn't a highly recruited kid. Had interest from UNLV, Northwestern, Boston College, and Houston State. Yeah, I mean, it was not an overwhelming list, but you have to wonder if this now opens up a door for other people. I feel like I know there's plenty of guys who run track in college. There's plenty of athletes who have run track in college. But you've got to wonder, does this open up another door if somebody's looking to transfer outside of their transfer window?
Can I give you a fun fact about Austin Peay?
Yeah.
You know what their chant is?
Are they? They are also not in Austin, Texas. I'm pretty sure
They're in Tennessee. Right?
Yeah, that threw me off for my entire life.
Yeah, me too. Changed everything. So their chant is "The fly is open. Let's go pee."
That's incredible.
I love that.
That's actually incredible.
So they started doing that in basketball. So that instead of saying "The fly is open. Let's go pee," now they just say "Let's go pee." James Fly Williams is been named after back in the 70s. So that's why they would say the fly is open.
This is Austin Peay in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely middle of nowhere.
Well, you can't pee in public.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, you got to pee in the middle of nowhere. That's why they can say that out there.
Very, very fair point. Yeah, it threw me off for sure when I found out that it was not in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I'm curious who's going to be the next one to try to use this loophole, or if the NCAA is going to swoop in and be like, "Hey, can't do that."
Then they'll get sued, and then it'll be a whole thing again.
I'm wondering. I feel like you're going to have to be a legitimate athlete to do this. You're going to have to prove it. Problem is, track and field. Most of your high school football team probably was on the track team in some way or shape or form.
Yeah.
So they can be like, "Oh, well, football's not really working out. I'm going to go run track, and I need to go run track at a different program. Oh, by the way, I might walk on there too." And
I'm on the football team. How did this happen?
Oh goodness,
this is crazy.
I didn't mean to do that in the fall. So, well, while I'm here, I might as well go and catch some passes. Just stay in shape for track, and just run a couple routes, and just put this extra weight on me. Just make me faster for track.
Yeah.
It's going to be faster for track season.
I'm playing football to make me better at track.
Yeah, that'll be the goal there. I think the NCAA is going to just kind of swoop in and close that loophole and at least word it better. All right, final thing here before we get out of here. I want to talk about all the coaching changes and some position battles here. So I'm going to read off all the programs that have a new head coach here because there are a lot. LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, Michigan, Utah, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Kentucky, Iowa State, Michigan State, UCLA, Stanford, Cal, Auburn, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Missouri State, Washington State, Coastal Carolina, Southern Miss, Toledo, Tulane, UConn, Colorado State, Memphis, James Madison, UAB, USF, North Texas, and Kent State. Who sticks out in your mind that we feel like we need to talk about a little bit more having a coaching change here?
Well, I think everybody's exhausted LSU and Ole Miss, and maybe even Florida, Michigan probably too. One program I really want people to pay attention to is Cal. So you get Tosh Lupoi out of Oregon, and Tosh Lupoi is a Cal guy, and he's got a 5-star quarterback that he was able to convince to stay. I don't know if anybody's heard the story, but he felt like went to sleep in an airport to and stayed in Hawaii longer to convince him to stay at Cal. They had a decent team last year, and a guy like Tosh Lupoi, since he was able to bring in some Oregon transfers and some other people from the transfer portal, Cal could be a pretty decent team. So I think if Tosh Lupoi is worth his salt in coaching, that Cal could be a really good team. So I don't think people are talking enough about that, and the fact that Oregon lost both of their coordinators last year. So how much does that hurt Oregon and their chances to make a run? Because when you look at Oregon's roster, they have everything they need to make a run. But when you don't have Will Stein and Tosh Lapoy, what's going to happen in those close games that they already struggled with?
Yeah, I'm interested, Cal. You got JKS there. I think that's going to be a strong year for them. They have an early game against, it might be UCLA. But UCLA and Bob Chesney is the one that I'm looking at. Bob Chesney has just been a winner for more than 15 years as a head coach, starting very similar to a Kurt Signetti type of run. I don't think he's going to turn UCLA into what Indiana is, but he won at various different levels before coming to James Madison. Took over after Kurt Signetti, but you got to remember, Kurt Signetti took a lot of those guys with him to James Madison, took a bunch of players. So it's not like he walked into a program all of a sudden ready to compete. He did his due diligence, goes over to UCLA, brings some of his James Madison guys with him as well, and convinces Nico Iamaleava to stay. I think UCLA is going to be better than people think. I think that this roster this year is going to be improved. Like UCLA, I'm expecting to make a bowl game this year. I have a full expectations that Bob Chesney takes UCLA to a bowl game in his first year. Bob Chesney has one losing season, and it was his first year at Holy Cross. Other than that, he has had a winning record in every season.
And you think he does it again?
I think he does it again. I think if you go look at UCLA's schedule, so I just made a video about this. If you want, go check out the YouTube video. I did a overrated, underrated sleeper. They do have Cal. So Cal, San Diego State, Purdue. Let's say they lose to Cal. We'll say lose to Cal. San Diego State, Purdue, Maryland. Oregon, that's a loss. Wisconsin's for sure winnable. So is Michigan State. So is Nevada. Minnesota on the road is going to be tough, but I think you could win that game. Illinois at home on a Friday night, that one's a possibility. At Michigan is going to be kind of tough, but it's the week before Ohio State, Michigan, and usually see Ohio State and Michigan sleeping a little bit in those games. I'm not saying they'll win, but I think it might be long enough in the season that where they might be able to give a little bit of a fight. And then home against USC, 6 wins is 100% attainable. I think 7 is where they're going to get to.
I like it. I mean, that's what Bob Chesney does. He takes programs and turns them around. I mean, he didn't have to do much turning around with James Madison, but Holy Cross is not an easy place to win.
UCLA to get 7, it's San Diego State, it's Purdue, it's at Maryland, it's Wisconsin, it's Michigan State, it's Nevada, and then it's either Minnesota or Illinois. I think they can win 7. That'll be my which one? Give me a coach on here that you are not high on the hire.
Oh, not high on. Well,
I have mine. I can go first if you want it.
You go first.
Mine's Arkansas and Ryan Silverfield.
Oh, I disagree on that.
I think Ryan Silverfield is a good, not great coach. I think he did fine at Memphis. He was there for, 6 seasons, went 50-25, never won the American Athletic Conference. Recruiting wise, he goes right across the river there. He goes from Memphis to, just to Fayetteville.
Arkansas, yeah.
He goes to Fayetteville. He was fine at Arkansas. I don't look at Ryan Silverfield and go, wow, that's the guy that is going to lead an SEC program to, to prosperity, to a college football playoff game. Ryan Silverfield started 7-1, maybe it was 8-1. They started 8-1 and lost to Tulane, East Carolina, Navy, and then NC State in the bowl game. Also lost to UAB of all programs last year. UAB was terrible. UAB entering that game had 2 wins, Alabama State and Akron. One was an FCS program, and one couldn't go to a bowl game because their APR was too low. I'm not a Ryan Silverfield guy. I think he could have lasted forever. Or if he was going to go somewhere else, I think the ACC would have been a way better challenge for him. I think Arkansas is just going to get run over again and again and again in the SEC this year. I am not an Arkansas guy. I think it's a tough place to win, and I don't think they hired a coach that's any sort of splash hire. Also, they play Utah in the beginning of the year at Utah. That is not an easy game by any means. They go Utah and Georgia in back-to-back weeks. You want to talk about physical matchups?
Yeah.
That's some physical matchups. Then you get Tulane. Then you go Texas A&M, Tennessee, Vanderbilt before you get to your off week. There's a real chance that they are 2-4, 2-5 heading into their off week before they finish with Missouri, Auburn, South Carolina, Texas, LSU. Yeah. I think there's a real chance that they have 2 wins this year.
It is Arkansas. It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
I'm not sold on them. I'm not sold on Arkansas. I just don't think Ryan Silverfield is the right guy. I don't think he brings enough energy into rejuvenate the program.
I get it. And you think of it, Memphis has never been a horrible group of 5 team. Like they're always a decent group of 5 team. So
Mike Norvell came from it.
Right. And so did Memphis, did Ryan Silverfield really do that much for Memphis to keep them afloat or to make them relevant? I don't know. We will find out at Arkansas. To be different, to zig where you zagged, I think this might be a hot take. I don't want to say Tavita Pritchard. I think the easy answer would be Tavita Pritchard at Stanford. I think he's going to be better than people think. He's got the backing of Andrew Luck. I think Stanford might have an opportunity to be decent in the near future. I think next year is going to be horrible, but I think they have an opportunity to be decent in the near future. So I don't want to say Tavita Pritchard. What I do want to say is Utah. So you lose Kyle Whittingham.
I don't disagree with this take, and I'll let you finish.
Yeah, so you lose Kyle Whittingham, and you replace him with somebody who's coached with Kyle Whittingham forever. And if you want to take that next step as Utah, you can't replace him with the same guy or somebody who's learned from that program for that long. Maybe it helps and maybe it maintains them where they've already been, but I just don't see a guy like Morgan Scalley, who's been at Utah as long as he has, being able to do much with Utah. I mean, I think Kyle Whittingham was able to exhaust every ounce of talent out of that football team while he was there. I mean, that they have not had a quarterback in a couple of years, and they're still relevant. They're still winning 8 games.
Devin Dampier is not bad. He threw 9 interceptions in his final 6 games to me, which was a stat that really stood out to me, that he made a lot of mistakes down the stretch.
But he's more of a runner than he is a passer.
Yeah, he's fine as a passer. He's more of a dynamic dual threat quarterback.
So and when you're in, I don't know. The Morgan Scalley hire doesn't do it for me because, all right, Morgan Scalley was your OC the past couple of years. What has Utah done offensively?
DC.
Oh, he was the DC. You're right. Okay, well that gives me a little bit more confidence. He was the DC. Yeah, because the OC went with him to Michigan. Beck, right?
Yeah.
So I think if anything, that would be my biggest flop. My second biggest would be, why the heck did James Franklin hire Brent Pry as the DC at Virginia Tech?
Yeah, that takes a lot of stones for Brent Pry to get fired as the head coach and then to go back and accept the defensive coordinator position.
And James Franklin, do you really think he's not going to try and undermine you? Maybe not purposely.
I don't think he will, because Brent Pry was a Franklin guy through and through for a while. I'm pretty sure they coached together for a decade.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, they always joked about the Nick Saban school of rehab. Hey, Nick Saban's going to take some coach. He's going to take Steve Sarkisian, take Lane Kiffin, take these coaches that flamed out and, bring them in and, help them rebuild their repertoire and, build up their image. And I almost think that's what Brent Pry is trying to do here. Instead of going to a Michigan or an SEC school and trying to rebuild his image, he's like, why don't I just do it with the guy who I built it up with first? I don't think Brent Pry has any interest in being the Virginia Tech head coach again. And if something were to happen with Franklin, Brent Pry is not going to be the next Virginia Tech head coach. I think that's a very obvious thing, that he will not be the next Virginia Tech coach. He will never be another Virginia Tech head coach. If Franklin ever gets fired, Brent Pry is going with him. They will not keep Brent Pry on the staff. They will fire both at the same time.
Yeah.
So I actually don't hate the move. Brent Pry was a pretty solid defensive coordinator at Penn State.
No, he
so
was.
I don't hate that move. One of the more interesting ones to me was Texas hiring Will Muschamp.
Yeah, when your defense coordinator is completely fine. I was listening to what's the guy's name over at Cover 3? Bud Elliott. Bud Elliott, his summer school series, and he asked about that because what was wrong? What was the guy's name? Norkowski? No, Kiwatowski, right?
Yeah,
Kiwatowski. A very tough Eastern European name. Pete. We'll call him Pete. That was his first name. All they said was that the difference between Pete and Will Muschamp is that Will Muschamp has a similar defense but brings a lot more energy.
Like Texas had an overall solid defense. Like 2 years ago, they had one of the best defenses in the country.
Right.
They've had great players on the defensive side of the ball. I didn't really understand that unless they thought that, hey, it wasn't quite up to snuff this year and we need to go make changes. Tennessee is going to be a really interesting one with Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles is on his third program in the last 3 years now. Went obviously Ohio State, then Penn State, over to Tennessee, who his stud edge rusher, Chaz Coleman, may not even play for them this year.
Well, Jake, he's made his defense more simple, so it's going to be easier to adapt to this year.
I saw a video, I think it was an Ohio State player, where they were talking about why it took so long. Because everybody has always said that the Jim Knowles defense takes 2 to 3 years. And it was like saying a whole sentence for one play on defense.
Yeah.
And
it's NFL.
For 18, 19-year-old guys that are moving from a high school where, hey, it might not have been super complex. It was some of these guys are see ball, get ball, to all of a sudden it's a full sentence that you're trying to digest, and you're listening for the one specific thing that's going to say your specific call. Right. Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens with Tennessee this year, because will he be able to simplify it? Can he get it going in year one? He obviously struggled at Penn State to get it going immediately. There's a reason why they didn't retain him, a reason why Matt Campbell didn't retain him. So I think long-term it can be a good move for Jim Knowles, but also I don't know how much long-term Jim Knowles has left, because he has shopped around for head coaching jobs. He has constantly looked around, and is he just close to being done? I guess that's one of my questions. Let's talk about position battles here real quick. There's a couple big ones at quarterback. You got Alabama, Clemson, Tennessee, Florida, Virginia, Nebraska, and I'm sure there are some other ones. You wrote down Michigan, Bryce Underwood versus having coach. There are people that are rumoring that Tommy Carr might push Bryce Underwood for the starting job. If
that's all come out because Eric Weddle, his son, is there, was there for a camp or something, or maybe he's already on the team.
No, his son's like a high 4-star player or something like that.
Yeah, and he said, dude, he cannot play quarterback, meaning Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, I saw Weddle then kind of like reaffirmed what he was saying. He was not that he can't throw the ball. It's, the accuracy just isn't there to be a high level quarterback in the Power 4. Which then there were the Twitter bros online being like, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. As Eric Weddle, it was a fantastic safety in the NFL and probably knows a thing or two about good quarterbacks.
Made a living off of watching quarterbacks and understanding what they're going to do.
Yes. Quarterback position battles. Which ones have your eye?
I think the biggest ones would be Alabama and Clemson, maybe Tennessee. Florida,
sounds like Faison Brandon is possibly pushing for that starting role.
Yeah, and you look at Florida, I think Aaron Filo's already won it. I don't think that's going to be a competition, to be honest with you. Virginia, Bo Perbila versus Iana Holstein. Have you ever seen the meme with the guy sitting on the couch at Christmas and he's wearing the long sleeve button down plaid shirt and he's holding up a long sleeve button down plaid shirt? That's the exact.
I was going to say it's the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other.
Yeah. Cool. Anthony Calandria or TJ Lateef.
It's Anthony Calandria. It's going to be Anthony.
It's going to be Anthony Calandria. So I think the real battles are Alabama, Clemson, and Tennessee. Alabama, Keelan Russell, I think, is the favorite right now. But I wouldn't be shocked to see either of them play. Tennessee, like you said, Faison Brandon is the favorite, but George McIntyre's been, I think this is his third year now. It's going to be tough to beat him out when you've got experience in the Josh Heupel offense, but Faison
Dylan
Brandon
Raiola
has,
being second string or third string. Can't forget about that one.
yeah, I forgot about that one. And then Clemson, Chris Vezina versus Tate Reynolds, which Chris Vezina was leading in the spring, but the gap has been closed significantly, is what I've been told, to the point where it is still going to be a legitimate battle come fall. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite to win all those, it'd be Keelan Russell, Chris Vezina, and Faison Brandon.
I think Keelan Russell, it's a matter of time before he becomes named the starter. I know Austin Mack played in relief of Ty Simpson in the Rose Bowl, but I think Keelan Russell's ceiling is just that much higher. And I think if Alabama wants to win now, then they have to play Keelan Russell. I want to look at Alabama's schedule real quick because I feel like they have a Power 4 game. They have Florida State on the schedule in week 3. So their schedule is actually not the easiest. East Carolina was not a bad team last year. East Carolina was actually solid last year.
Their quarterback's gone.
That's true. That is true. I forgot. He is at Illinois, I believe now. But still, I don't know how many other guys are there, but I still think East Carolina, you're not playing a walk-over Sunbelt team.
And another thing about Alabama is their offensive line is a huge question mark this year. Huge question mark. So you couldn't run the ball last year. And if your offensive line is a huge question mark coming into the season this year, I mean, you're going to be susceptible to lose to a team you shouldn't lose to. So it won't matter who you start if you can't freaking block. So I think the real battle to look at is who's going to be the starting 5 guys there, and are they going to be ready to play Florida State week 1?
Well, Florida State's week 3. Lucky for them, they get Florida State week 3.
Who's going to play against whoever they play in week 1?
East Carolina.
Remember you just said that like 2 seconds ago before I went on my rant.
They also have on the road to Kentucky week 2. I think they'll be able to handle Kentucky, but you never know if there's going to be a little bit of intrigue there.
I don't know. I mean, Kentucky is dumping money into their program. I mean, who's the running back? CJ Baxter. You've got CJ Baxter as your starting running back.
Didn't they bring in a quarterback too?
They did bring in a quarterback.
Kenny Minchie. They brought Kenny Minchie over from Notre Dame.
Yeah. So they could be sneaky good next year.
They brought Nick Anderson over from Oklahoma. They brought in Ohio State's left tackle. Nick Anderson. They brought in Ohio State's left guard Tigris Shapola. They actually, at least according to our lads, which you take this with a grain of salt. Usually, I'm just usually looking at the transfers. They do not have many transfers on the first string. Most of them are only the second string on defense. There's potential that Kentucky could be interesting, but there also could be potential that Kentucky's doing the same thing they've done for the last 5 years, bringing in transfer quarterbacks, and most of them just suck.
I think another position battle to look at would be Texas running back, specifically Raleek Brown versus Hollywood Smothers. Raleek Brown's coming from Arizona State, I believe. Yeah. And Hollywood Smothers is coming from North Carolina State. He's coming from a day in class at Alabama and from North Carolina State. So that's going to be a very intriguing battle. They're similar running backs in the sense that they're both extremely fast, but I think Hollywood Smothers is more of a true scat back, catch the ball in the backfield kind of do, where Raleek Brown is more of your stereotypical running back. So that's going to be fun to watch.
I'm sure they'll both end up playing. With a long season, they're both almost certainly going to get plenty of snaps throughout the year. But the question is, who'll be running back number 1?
And then another thing to look for is who the hell is going to be the starting receivers in Georgia.
This is an intriguing one because last year, Zachariah Branch had 70 catches. The next one had 30, and I forget who it is, but he's also gone. And it is not a position where you're walking and go, oh, Gunnar Stockton got dudes. He just got to get the ball to him. No, there's question marks about who the receivers are. So I'm not super high on Georgia's passing attack this year.
I'm pulling up the receiving stats now. So that's all time. It's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see rushing results from 2025.
Here, I got it up right now too. So last year, Branch and Colby Young combined,
Yep.
and Dylan Bell. So Dylan Bell had the second most receptions. Colby Young had the third. The three of them, Branch had 811 yards. Bell had 268. Young had 358. The three of them combined to have 9 touchdowns. London Humphreys had 18 catches for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but here's the biggest: 81 catches to 26 catches.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane.
London Humphreys, if you want to talk about where his touchdowns came, one against Marshall. He did score one against Texas, and one did come against Tennessee in a tight game, so I'll give you that. But, I mean, there were plenty of games. He never had more than 3 catches in the game, so clearly not a top target last year.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch had 30% of the catches for the entire team. That is freaking sane.
He had more than the next couple combined.
Yeah. Colby Young, London Humphreys, Dylan Bell, Oscar Delp. You put 2, 3, and 4 and 5 together, and then you're right around him, if not right over him. No, you're over him at that point.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Georgia's passing attack yet. When we get into the SEC, I'll want to dive more into these ones and figure out what are we expecting from Georgia's passing attack this year. Well, that does it for this week's episode. We are going to get started on Big Ten next week. We're going to break the Big Ten into 3 episodes because there are way too many teams in the Big Ten. We're going to have to divide it up. I think there's, 18 teams in the Big Ten at this point? So we'll do 6, 6, and 6 over the first 3 episodes. Break it in, actually be able to dive into these teams, what we're excited about, what we're not excited about, what we think these teams are going to do, what they're going to look like. Are they going to win games? Or are they going to be terrible? You never know. Make sure to go follow us on social media. Go follow the Walk On Red Shirts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you get your college football content. Make sure to go follow us. Go follow Will at Walk On Moose. Make sure you do that. Go check out the walkonredshirts.com. And with that, we'll see everybody again next week.
See you.